sister, be servant, be Eucharist to all. The Felician Sisters follow St. Francis of Assisi and live out the prime elements of the Franciscan rule: contemplation, conversion, poverty, humility, and service. They are known for their kindness, love, helping hands, and joy. And there are no exceptions when it comes to our guests today. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson, and joining us today is Sister Nancy Marie Jamroz. Sister Nancy, one of our Felician sisters here in Livonia. We are so fortunate to have you as our guest.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, let's start with the start. What led you to the sisterhood?
Well, of course, the simple answer is God. All right, as we know, we all have a calling in life, and many of us have a family of faith to look back on that coaches us to look at life positively and to find meaning in life and to find beauty in life. And so when I was in grade school, I was introduced to the Franciscan Sisters and said, I want to be one of those. And that was in third grade. And that feeling stayed with me through my life, until I was in eighth grade and wanted to go and enter the sisterhood then, which my father said, absolutely not.
Oh my.
You are too young. But then after high school, they told me that if I wanted to still be a sister, they would be behind me, and they have been all the way.
And are you originally from the Detroit area?
Yes, Garden City is where I grew up. I had been born in Detroit, but at 3 years old, we moved out to Garden City, Michigan. And that's where I grew up.
Oh, how wonderful. Now, I know you've told me before that there is a difference between nuns and sisters. And I think that I hear people use these terms interchangeably, but there's a difference. Would you tell us what the difference is?
Sure. So technically, sisters are what you most often see because they are women who take the 3 vows and have a profession such as healthcare, education, social work, and today making sure that we are supporting justice and peace issues. And we are out in the community doing service. Nuns are usually sisters who stay in their monastery or convent, and their main ministry is prayer. They do not come out like we do to do service.
And so I love that you explain that distinction, because a lot of times people just say the same, it's a nun, it's a sister, what is the difference? And so that helps that there's a different way to serve for each of them.
True. So
I know so much about your past, and I'm just trying to figure out what our audience would like to know. I know that you started here at the, in the sisterhood in Livonia, but that you've traveled all over the world. This calling has taken you far beyond Livonia, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Just give us a brief timeline of where you started and how you got to where you are today.
I certainly will. A long time ago, back in 1960, when I entered the community here in Livonia, I thought that I would be teaching, my whole life. I started with 2nd grade and then 6th grade, and I thought that would be my life. But there were surprises in store for me that God knew and I did not. Because as we continued in our ministries, I began in grade school, then high school, and then in 1984, Sister Mary Franceline, the president of Madonna University then, was a classmate of mine, and she asked me, wouldn't you want to come to Madonna University? And I said, well, certainly, what would be my role? And I entered as the Dean of Students. And then in this setting, we had many opportunities to professionally advance, to go to webinar, no, not webinars
not then, but
conferences, that's right,
Sure.
In-person conferences,
yes.
Large groups, in many different places. And so throughout the United States, there were different conferences in, student services or academic areas that were interesting to me that I was able to attend. But then we had students who came to the campus from Taiwan. They were our first international students that we became very close to, because they were here on campus, and so we got to know them. And they were very interested in having us come to their country in order to receive them in receptions and celebrate like their being an alum. And so Taiwan is where I visited them. And then we had the opportunity to later in life to go to Dubai,
Wow.
Dubai. And there were many other countries that our students had been missioned to, okay, or they went to. And so we had these opportunities to travel like I never thought that I would. In fact, my brother used to tease me and say, yep, join the convent and see the world.
Clearly, and I know that there was time when Pope Benedict was our Pope that you were in Rome, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
That's right, because that was related to community work. We are an international community of sisters. And so besides being in the United States, we have sisters in Poland, in Brazil, and our general aid is in Rome. And so every 6 years there is a chapter, international meeting of the sisters, and I was fortunate enough to be a delegate about 4 times, going to Rome and being part of that meeting. So, real honor.
So you went into the sisterhood, it sounds like, to be of service, into a community of women, and really it sounds like there was a leadership role for you at a time when maybe there weren't a lot of leadership roles for women, and you were in this organization and part of that here at the university, and then took that on as well. That must have been wonderful to experience that at the time.
It certainly was. It really broadened not only my experience, but my thinking and my appreciation for humankind, really. Learning different cultures and visiting different areas of the world, you really broaden your scope of things that are important, things that are meaningful, and what brings us together, trying to make the world better.
And I know you've always been all about learning, and that's a big part of your journey as well, and education of others, and that way to serve as part of the community. Mm-hmm. And I know there's so many more questions I want to ask you. In our next segment, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about your involvement with Madonna and what you've done there, and then about the Felician Sisters, the ministries they have all around the United States and the world. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard to believe that we've come to a short break, but I know you'll stay here with me. Yes?
Of course.
Oh, wonderful. So when we come back, we're going to hear more from Sister Nancy Marie Jamroz, and she's going to tell us again about her time with Madonna University and some of the work that the Felician Sisters have done all around the United States and around the world. Stay tuned.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European pro golf tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the US Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
To you, Algebra 2, foreign languages, and finally, biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me. Yeah, I'll do it. Me too.
Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and today I'm here with Sister Nancy Marie Jamroz of the Felician Sisters. There's so much to dive into today, as I said. A question I'd love to ask is, we talk about Madonna University here in Livonia, and I don't know if everyone knows that the Felician Sisters really created this entity. Tell us a bit about how Madonna began.
I'd be happy to do that. When the Felician Sisters came to Michigan, they really came to Detroit, Canfield and St. Aubin for people who know Detroit. And then in 1936, they migrated here to the Livonia area, which was then Plymouth Township. And at that time, we were primarily into the ministry of taking care of orphans and in education. And so when we got here to Livonia, we needed sisters to continue being educated to be teachers, and so we opened a teachers' college and had professors from the University of Michigan and from Marymount's College in Ohio come and teach the sisters. And then we had some of our sisters who had doctorate degrees who were very interested in taking this teachers' college and opening it as a 2-year college, which was called Presentation College at that time. And 10 years later, it became Madonna College, and we accepted lay students at that time. And now we are talking about 1947. Originally in 1937, we began the teaching college. And so as sisters became more advanced in education, we, of course, expanded our ministries into administration and things like that. And so in 1991, the college became a university, and of course, as we continued to grow, we continued to develop programs. Most interesting was in about 1965 or so, Sister Danitha and Sister Loriana, who were the president and academic dean, met with the administration of Livonia, because there had been a fire at the Ford plant here, and they needed training for fire science. And so fire science and police work became added to our curriculum, and, of course, men in 1972 became a part of Madonna College then, and continue now with programs for both men and women.
And I know that's always been a part of the university, the sisters' dedication to service. The degrees here are really service-focused,
Right.
Responding to the needs in the community. And, you mentioned along the way the sisters having a lot of education and in these roles of leadership. And I know you're so modest, you won't mention it, but I will. You have a doctorate yourself as well in psychology, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct.
So again,
Yes.
the sisters that led had gone through, received the education, and were just leaders in their own right, and took that leadership role to, again, serve others.
That's right.
Through not just the Madonna University, but the ministries. Tell us about some of the many other ministries the sisters have started to respond to needs of the community.
Well, we look here just in Livonia. When I entered in the 1960s, St. Mary's College, St. Mary's Hospital, began.
Yes.
And in fact, in our first year, we were happily helping to clean the walls for the grand opening of that hospital.
Wow.
And now we see how it has developed through community leaders who have come forth and carried, service to humanity as a top need, and they were very happy to do that and involve the whole community in doing this. Right? Then we also, of course, had child care and Montessori schools here on the campus. We had high school, Ladywood High School, and of course we had the Angela Hospice, which many people find a very wonderful ministry, especially when one of their loved ones is dying. And we also have we call it Senior Clergy Village, a retirement unit for priests of the Archdiocese of Detroit. 20 of them can live in the little condos that we have for them, and they too continue to serve parishes around this area. And of course, throughout the United States, North America, not only do we have educational facilities, but as I mentioned before, social service and food pantries and soup kitchens, and we've had hospitals throughout the United States too.
And I think that that's just such a marvelous testimony to the leadership of this selfless group of women I've observed, and I'm a proud, of course, product of Madonna University and Ladywood High School, and very much observing that willingness to serve. And it always seems in my interactions with the sisters, it's not about me, it's about what I can do to help my neighbor, and putting that forward.
The earliest motto I remember from Madonna was education for truth and service.
And that's definitely part of what we see
right.
here. I know you mentioned all across the United States, all these ministries, and one way I've heard it referred to is that the Felician Sisters care from womb to tomb.
That's correct.
And that right from the very beginning.
Of life to the end.
To the end.
And when we became one province in 2009, we took on a new ministry in Haiti. All right, and just 2 years ago, a new ministry in Detroit was developed called Deo Gratias Ministries, which is a pantry and cafe for people in that area of 7 Mile Road and Kelly Road to come in and get some coffee, get some food if they need it, and learn things. They also have like stained glass classes, okay? And of course now we're closed down because of COVID, but they are looking forward to opening soon.
Just amazing how what started as a ministry with just a few sisters I know coming across, you know, from Poland, if I'm not mistaken,
You are correct.
and came here and started these ministries that have just impacted the lives of so many, hundreds of thousands of people at this point. Just a wonderful testament to that.
Well,
and
we thank God for that.
And I do as well. And I know in our next segment, you know, what a lot of people have heard about in the national news is the loss of this community. And I had heard that it was mentioned as one of the largest losses of women religious in the United States, if not the world, due to COVID. And so I know it's a delicate subject, but it's something that's an important part of us to talk about. So when we come back, we'll be discussing that more in depth here with Sister Nancy Marie Jamroz. Be sure to stay tuned.
When life's this hard, it's no wonder 7,000 students drop out every school day. Visit boostup.org and help kids in your community stay in school.
So we were walking to school.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have another
at
bad day at
today.
school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program is preparing me for the future.
I'm learning from industry professionals, making connections, and honing my skills from hands-on experience every day.
The professors are dedicated to my success, instilling professionalism, creative thinking, and a strong work ethic.
Join Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program. Earn your Bachelor's of Arts and take that first step towards your dreams.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and we're back in our studio again with Sister Nancy Marie Jamroz from the Felician Sisters. Of course, I affectionately refer to her as Sister Nancy. Before we went to the break, we talked about the fact that there's been such a tragic loss among the Felician Sisters due to COVID. And I know you were intimately aware and familiar with that. Tell us what you experienced as part of the community.
Well, I refer to it as our dark days, all right, because when we closed down almost a year ago, March 14th, at first we, we're all, it was a novel experience. What? Nobody can come in, we can't go out, and so on and so forth, because we were quarantined. No one could come to our chapel any longer. Our families and friends were not welcome to the house. And then about 2 weeks in, we found out that we had a worker who had been positive, and it went like wildfire. Our sisters who were most vulnerable in our infirmary, we called it, became COVID positive, and some really had severe symptoms from it. About 5 of them were in the hospital, on ventilators. And then on Good Friday, in April, our first sister died. She was 99 years old, and a good friend to all of us who were, when we were young, had her as a mentor. And on Easter Sunday, 2 more sisters died. On Easter Tuesday, another sister. So in all, through that week, we had at the end of the week about 8 sisters who had died. And then more sisters kept dying through the month, so that at the end of the month, we had 12 sisters who had died. The sad thing was, of course, like everyone else, we could not see them before they died, which was our custom, to sit with them as they were dying and pray with them and be with them, and that was not allowed. And then when they died, we could not even, have a proper funeral. We could drive one to a car, for those of us who were not infected on the other side of the house. There are 20 of us who live there, and we could go one to a car to the cemetery, up to 10 people, and then we could wait there until they brought the casket. And we would go to the gravesite with the sister, and then we had to stay in our cars until she was lowered into the ground. And then the funeral director let us know we could come and sing our usual prayers, sing our songs, say our usual prayers. It was in the morning when we would come out for breakfast, because we were all enclosed in our rooms, and food was brought up to us by our caretakers, our workers, to our rooms. And if we opened our door and looked out, we might have seen a sign, Sister so-and-so died last night. So it really was dark days for us, until somebody said, but think of them. Don't think of ourselves. They are with God, and that's the whole purpose of our life. And so they're joyful. And so I really did change my prayer. Eternal joy grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them.
Oh, and such a painful time, but again, such a beautiful way to look at that. I know we've got some pictures. We want to honor each of those sisters here on the show, and we're going to have a video now to show each of these sisters on the screen. Oh, what is your reaction as you see the collection of women? I know there's previous university presidents, leaders in the community, women who gave their lives for others. What was your reaction as we watched that together?
When I looked up, it was like angels through the sky, coming, because they really were in their own rights angels. And you are right. Sister Mary Danatha was our 4th president of Madonna University, and Sister Mary Sister Victoria Marie had been teaching here at Madonna all the way up to the time that we were quarantined. She was in the nursing faculty, one of those who went down to Haiti and took students down to Haiti and helped them have an experience, international experience that they always seem to remember. And there are about 6 of the other sisters who had some ministry here at Madonna University. So you see them and they seem here. And yet I know they're not. We won't see them and interact with them anymore.
And this, again, this story was covered around the world, really. You know, I know that it had national news coverage, and people were asking, what can we do? There was a beautiful mural that came out of this that was painted to honor the sisters, again, to honor women that have done so much for others selflessly with a life of service. You know, I know that there's a lot of needs in the community as well, and that the sisters take whatever they receive, they take and try to give to the community. How can those who are watching right now, who just feel moved by this story, help the sisters? What can our viewers do to help the community?
Well, first I have to say thank you, because I'm sure some of your viewers are those who remembered us during those dark times. People sent cards and offerings to help us continue our ministries, and that's what our provincial minister said that's what we would be doing with anybody who makes donations to us to continue our ministries. But some people sent word search books, pizza one day, sometimes candy.
Goodness.
So we felt like spoiled people, okay, because of the goodness of our friends in this community. And we even had a parish in Georgia that sent us cards every week.
Oh,
so it was very nice.
I know they can look at FelicianSistersNA.org. Is that the website?
Our website. Yes, many who knew Sister Victoria make donations for Haiti.
Oh, how wonderful. Sister, the time has gone by way too fast. I can't believe it's time to let you go. Thank you for coming to our show today and telling us all about the legends and the history of these sisters. And thank you, viewers, for being with us. We'll see you next time on Celebrate Michigan.